Tulsi Gabbard is Ascendant. Tulsi Gabbard is one step closer to being on the debate stage in November. I was about to say, send Hillary Clinton a thank you letter, but it's not that simple. Tulsi Gabbard has a following that tends to go to independents and to the right. She is, she doesn't fit entirely into one box in that particular way. And if you ask me, she leans to bring those people in also. There's nothing wrong with that. That's politics. You want to get as many people to support you as possible. That's how you get elected. The catch here is, if I'm not mistaken, New Hampshire is an open vote state, meaning Republicans and independents can vote. Don't quote me on that, but if I'm not mistaken, that's true. Let's go through the polls for the moment. I didn't get the opportunity to do this while I was at the radio station. I did Sanders' part, meaning Sanders is number one in this poll. CNN did everything in its power not to mention Sanders' name. And when I was watching CNN today, I was at the clinic. I didn't even know that Sanders was number one in this poll, and they covered that poll. Sanders tops in New Hampshire. CNN poll, by the way, CNN poll. Popping back up to number one spot. Warren falls to number two. Biden falls to number three. Sanders and Warren are in the margins of error for one another. They're rather close. If I'm not mistaken, Sanders is 24. Warren is 21. But Gabbard, not in the top. However, she went from 1% to 5% in that poll. And in doing so, getting her one step closer to the debates. Welcome to the Soapbox. My name is Jamarl Thomas. This is the Progressive Soapbox. Guys, if you like it, like, share, subscribe. You can always support PayPal, Patreon. This content is brought to you by you because it's essentially demonetized as soon as it's made. This video will be rather quick because it's for the most part just a polling update from the standpoint of Gabbard and making the point that she did amazingly well in this poll, up 4. All right, so let's do the poll first. Sanders, 21%. Warren, 18%. Biden, 15%. -9. -9. This is since July. Buttigieg, he's up to 10%. Or, he hasn't gone anywhere. But look at Gabbard. And look at front runner dark horse Harris dropping down 3%. Ouch. Tulsi Gabbard, the campaign ender. I dub thee the campaign ender. That's astonishing. I watch that video sometimes when I'm blue just to make me feel better. It is an amazing thing to see a truth bomb, succinct, 30 seconds, defend this. This is your life, Kamala Harris. And stand back and just watch her. No answer. As if she had no thought that somebody would ask her about those things. Astonishing. Nevertheless, campaign ender Tulsi Gabbard, up 4. And look at Klobuchar, up 5. Wow, somebody's feeling Klobuchar. I wonder if those are Harris voters, since she went down 6. And Yang, also strong, up 4. I suppose that Biden, that had to happen. So Biden's lead was eaten into by apparently some of these groups. That's amazing. Shout out to Gabbard. I didn't get the opportunity to do this because I wanted to add Gabbard in when I was at the radio station. Anybody who watched the radio station, that was a train wreck. That show went masterfully bad. I got to be honest. I am still annoyed about it, if I'm being honest. And it's like, it's this weird thing of annoyance, pissed offness, slight guilt. even a slight sick sense of pride, even if something I'm not necessarily the most proud of. For those of you who don't know, I do a radio show here in Virginia, here in Richmond. And on the show, I have an operator that essentially helps with the show. And in helping with the show today, I'm doing a topic on Katie Hill. Now, that topic already to some degree annoys me. And if I'm being honest, I was slightly annoyed because the operator was 45 minutes late. And so it was kind of, And while doing it, he intrudes into the show. And as he intrudes into the show, you must understand, for me, if it's my show, it's my show. And if I'm going to do content, I'm going to do content, especially if I'm not going over the rails. And it's an intrusion. And it's an intrusion in a way that's trying to tell me that I'm doing something wrong, which immediately triggers this reaction of not only am I not wrong, I'm going to get across how wrong you are in explicit terms. And I did that over and over and over again. And not just particularly on that topic, pretty much every topic that came up. Making the point emphatically, brilliantly, slightly dickishly, and from a debate standpoint, pretty effective. But, oh man, I was so pissed off. And it's like sometimes when there's stuff that's bothering you and you engage with people, depending on the person, you need certain things from that person to kind of make it right. And if you can't get those things from the people, it may not make it right. And in fact, it may make it worse. I ended up checking on my mom. My mom wasn't feeling other well. And I called her and she's like, Boo, I understand your point, but did you have to, you seem like you were pissed off. I was like, I was pissed off. I have no issue with showing, people that I'm angry on the show. Otherwise, what's the point in having the show? What's the point of being honest? It's my show. If I want to be pissed off, I can be pissed off. And she's like, yeah, fair enough. It just seemed like you were, a little pissed off. Now, from this standpoint, I listen to this and I hear you did something wrong. Again, at this point, this conversation is not well for me. And to be unfair, we're different people. We have very different perspectives of the world, especially from the standpoint of not willing to let stuff go if you're right. That's it. Meaning, my mom would be willing to keep the peace as opposed to pointing something out that the person is wrong on. And at the point where you're annoyed by that, my skills don't get worse. My skills get a little bit better. In the sense that it becomes a debate. It becomes something that I want to prove that I am absolutely flat fact. If God himself was here, he would tap me on the back and says, yes, good job, right. And I did that throughout the show. I asked my wife, I was like, did you watch the show? She says, yeah. Doesn't say anything else. I say, yeah, that was pretty bad. She says, yeah. She says, he shouldn't have interrupted. She says, but did you have to keep hitting him? I was like, what do you mean hitting them? She said, did you have to keep hitting him? She says, you made your point, and then you made it again, and then again, and then, and she was like, you wouldn't let it go. You kept after him. And I was like, well, A, it's my show. B, he intruded upon my show. C, he intruded upon something where I did nothing wrong on. D, he was intruding on my show. I understand what he was getting at, but it's like, if I haven't done anything wrong, it's my show, leave me be. And at that point it became, you're wrong for intruding. And not just wrong for intruding, how deep have you thought about this if we're going to get into this notion of relationships? And why is it inappropriate to talk about alternative couplings? And this is kind of the point that I was trying to making in the sense of the sex shaming. Yeah, it got bad. And I have a tendency to ask questions when I want to get answers, meaning it becomes prosecutorial. of dinging into the person, especially when I know I'm right. That makes it that much worse. And at the point where I think the person is running and dodging, I always bring it back to the original question, because I don't see the point in leaving the question if the person hasn't answered the question. I'm listening for the answer that I already know the answer to. She was like, did you have to keep hitting him? She's like, even on the Russia thing, when you made your point with such emphasis and adding item by item by item by item and asking him in a way to expose that he didn't know what the fuck he was talking about. You were right, but did you have to be that right? It was that type of conversation. So, no, I wasn't necessarily getting what I needed from her either. And my wife has a habit of just, all right, I'm not going to say anything about it. I just leave it. Missing the point that you not saying anything about it is you saying something about it. It's dialectic. You can't get away from it. Yeah. The Clinton bounce is no joke. The Clinton bounce. Giovanna, that guy tried to think of children line. That ship sailed with the Monica Lewinsky Bill Clinton inquiry. Well, yeah, I mean, look, it's an adult show. We're talking about politics. And if there are kids around, I don't necessarily think me saying a naked woman with a bong photo, especially since it has been playing on all day on all of these networks. And it's like, oh, but the children, you saying naked body may, perturb them. So which one is the issue? Which word have I said that bothered you so? Because at this point, we're getting into subjectivity. And yes, I'm going to dig into your subjectivity at this point because you brought subjectivity up as an argument. You're telling me that I'm wrong, and you're intruding upon my own show to tell me that I'm wrong. And you're doing so with the subjectivity of think of the babies. Think of the babies. If there are children listening to that show, just like there may be children all throughout the day listening to MSNBC and CNN, the goal of this is not to be salacious. The goal was literally to make the point that they were being salacious on purpose to sex shame and revenge porn that particular woman. My point was, it was disgusting. And in order to get across how disgusting it was, you had to actually give some idea on what they were doing. A naked bong hit. Do you need to talk to your kids about weed, or do you need to talk to your kids about naked bodies? Is it the three couple thing, meaning having a couple with a threesome in perpetuity? A throuple. Is that it? So is alternative relationships the problem? So what about gay and straight? I mean, technically, those are alternative relationships. I mean, is you have any issue with me talking about LGBTQ issues? I mean, wouldn't parents also have to explain to their children about that point? So is that off the table? I mean, yeah, I dig into that because I don't like you intruding. And if you're intruding, you need to have thought about it deeply before bringing this to me, especially if you're going to use the babies line. Yeah, this bugged the shit out of me. It bugged the shit out of me. The Iron Cross tattoo, that's the issue. That is not the issue. That is not the issue. You don't know what that is. You don't know what that is. You realize that this is kind of my point, the bombastic stuff. She has a tattoo. It has some kind of figure, maybe a cross. Why did she get it? Who the fuck knows? And people are calling a woman a Nazi, and they have no idea where she got that tattoo. There's all sorts of reasons that people do all sorts of things. And again, it's not necessarily for the reasons that they think. I find what's happening to her disgusting, honestly. And I got a throuple. If I had a kid, I'm not perturbed by the term throuple or talking about the stuff to my kids. And I have to be honest, I don't necessarily think my kids will be listening to a political radio show where we're talking about news and philosophy and history and all this other stuff. And yeah, when it's in the news, when it is something that is literally taking place right now, if it is my show, I should be able to say what I want. Providing, of course, there are always limits. Those limits were not defined. And I strongly push that I did not break any of them. So, yeah, I am. Burn Man, yeah, I got that story. I couldn't do that one on the radio station because it's, nobody knows who he is on the radio station. Yeah, murder, killing, I kind of made that point too. We could talk about killing and, that's fine, but this other stuff, not so much. All right. Like, share. God, man. I know as a society we make these kind of like incremental steps. We inch our way forward. And then there's a war or some kind of upheaval, and society cobbles itself back together, and they take certain things and they change others. And I even get that it's hard to shake yourself of those particular traditions. And they get so ingrained that it just seems natural as natural can be. I would ask my wife, why do you want to have kids? She was like, I just want to have kids. I strongly suspect it's because she had a mom. She loved her mom. She had multiple brothers. And growing up with that, it etched itself into her. My dad was never around. I didn't necessarily like other kids per se. So for me, that's nothing that digs in me, and I didn't have the model itself to even kind of push that. Now, there's some people that may take that and go in the opposite direction. People are different to some degree, so, you have what you have. But I don't know if it's a group think. I don't know if it's almost like a religious belief. People should be able to organize how they organize. If that's 3 people, if that's 4, I don't care. It's up to those people to figure out how they want to organize their lives. But there is no way that a person could be a congressman and say, yes, I am dating this other 22-year-old also. Let's say it's not a staffer. I'm just dating this other chick on the side. That's how I roll. She would never win anything. And yet she's done that one thing wrong. It's astonishing. I get the ethics stuff, but take that to the side for the moment because it had nothing to do with the ethics stuff. I'm talking about the sex shaming stuff. It's just horrendous, man. All right. Like, share, subscribe. I'll be back. Think so.